Do you want to be transported back to being on the beach during your favorite vacation? I certainly do. Osea's Undaria Algae Body Oil smells like summer, bottled with all-natural, uplifting notes of mango, mandarin, grapefruit, lime, and cypress. And it's not just about that elevated scent. This body oil is clinically proven to instantly improve skin elasticity and deeply moisturize, leaving skin silky and soft. I've said it before, but I love this product. It feels like I am going to a spa every night, and it delivers that coveted post-vacation glow like you just returned from a tropical getaway. Right now, you can get 10% off your first order with our code DATEABLE at OseaMalibu.com. Get healthy, glowing skin for summer with clean vegan skin and body care from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. Head to OSEAMalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off. Hey everyone, Julie here with a Quickie. I felt compelled to share after the episode last week that we did our long-term relationships for everyone with Ryan Van Duzer, because I will admit my heart sank when we talked to him because it activated my biggest fear in relationships, something that I still fear even in a happy, healthy, secure relationship. It's when, someone is suddenly just not ready. They were in it and then they decide that they just can't do it anymore. And his story, for anyone that missed it, he shared how he was going through a breakup. He had met someone that he was convinced was the one, the person that he was going to make it work with. He could see building a life with her and having a family, et cetera, et cetera. And then a year into their relationship, he just had this feeling that it wasn't right and that he didn't want that anymore. And it is absolutely terrifying to me, I'll be honest, that it feels like someone can just change their feelings like that. So they say they're all in and then just decide it's either too hard or too uncomfortable for them to be in a relationship, and it's easier to bail. And you might be saying it was just the wrong person for him and he'll rise to the occasion when he meets the right person. And that is entirely possible. We will never know. But I feel like this, if they wanted to, they would mentality is so taxing if you're on the receiving end of this. And as he was telling his story, I just felt for his ex, so hard, because I've been here myself. This was my story with my last relationship I was in. And it feels like, and I won't speak for her, but the way it made me feel is that I wasn't good enough and worth doing whatever they could do to make it work. And I remember having this conversation with my old roommate who, also was a psychologist. So she had a pretty good grasp on things and she knew a lot what was going on in my last relationship. And I remember just being if he wanted to, he would. And she's like, he can't. And I was like, you're right. Sometimes they want to and they just can't. I learned that, and that is the hard truth. And that's why the episode hit me so hard, because we got a lot of reactions from people, stay away from people like that, or she should have seen the red flags. And I don't want to not take a message away at all of choosing the right people, because that is clearly part of it. But I think sometimes there is the human side of it that until you're in a relationship, sometimes you just don't know if you are ready. And I'm not excusing the people that really do pull at our heartstrings that, we think it's going to go somewhere and then it doesn't. It is so painful being on that receiving end. But I really do believe listening to that episode that Ryan was trying. He did share how he, as soon as he felt this pattern creeping back in that he had before of, kind of freaking out when it was getting a little more serious, he went to therapy. It felt like he was committed to trying to make it work, but just couldn't. He couldn't get through that block. I feel when with my ex too, I really do believe to this day that he was trying to make it work. I don't think he was stringing me along or keeping me on the hook. But knowing what I know now, I can see that he also had those deep blocks that were getting in the way of him building a life with someone. My roommate said he couldn't do it. And it's a hard truth to know that even though they might know that you're deep down worth changing for, but they still don't know how to orchestrate that change. even if like someone does deeply love you, they still may not have the capacity for a relationship. And I think this, like, if they wanted to, they would, just like it simplifies it. And of course, there's some element to that statement that's true. Like when someone is into you, they'll make it known. But I do think as relationships progress, like they do bring up a lot for people, the fears, the insecurities, the limiting beliefs about themselves, or just like all the challenges, the emotional triggers. And, you have to be committed to making it work. And the reality is like not everyone is able to confront all the stuff that's needed to be in a relationship. When we were talking to Ryan, I actually had a lot of compassion for him, even though I know how painful it can be in his ex's position, because I could feel he was trying and like he just couldn't get through that. And we got this comment on Spotify. So thank you to the people that are leaving comments. Love it. But they wrote, some people want to change, but they are unwilling or incapable of doing the work that leads to change. Recognize the warning signs and choose your partners wisely. 100% agree. Like I just talked about, like I do think that like you can want it, but not be able to execute it. I do want to like comment though on the part about the warning sign and choosing your partners wisely. Like I agree with most of this. And, when someone tells you who they are or shows you who they are, like we need to believe them. But there is this other side of it too that I totally see with his ex, for instance, in the Ryan case. Like he was sharing that he wanted change, like he wanted to make it work. And you want to believe this person, right? Like you want to believe that someone, like is addressing the challenges they've had in the past and their past doesn't define their present. You want to think that they can change and push through it because your love is so great. I'm saying this because like you aren't wrong or stupid if you didn't catch every red flag ahead of time. Like it's impossible. And it's also no way to date to be constantly on the lookout for red flags and never giving anyone the benefit of the doubt. And to clarify, I'm not saying the listener who commented said this. I'm just making my own point here because the truth is like everyone is a work in progress and just trying to figure out what works for them. And it's not always like malicious when someone, is in and then they're out. It's just a reality. Like your capacity can change as a relationship gets more serious or changes course. And that is like why I still have this fear that even though I know it's a baggage from my past relationship, I also recognize that like I can't control if one day my partner decides he just can't do it anymore. And that is terrifying to me because like relationships take work and effort. And I believe both people need to be 110% in order to make it work. And I have like seen, over time, my friends' relationships change, ones that have been in relationships for years. So like I recognize that like it's never a guarantee and it's scary. But I think what I'm taking away from all of this, I think UA has really helped me a lot with this fear too, is like you can only control what you can control. It's always a risk to be in love. Like it's always a risk to enter a relationship with someone. There's clearly so many benefits that like for me, the fear does not outweigh the benefits that I get from being in a relationship and giving my heart every day. So I'm not saying this to, make people scared to be in a relationship. I think though it's okay to like acknowledge fears and put them out in the open. Like even just talking about this really helps me because like I do look back on like my relationship with my ex and like of course I would have preferred it to end like, happily ever after and not go through the heartbreak I did, but I don't regret that relationship. And, like looking back, I would have maybe bounced a little quicker as soon as the first time he was like, I can't do the long-term relationship, opposed to giving him another chance and another chance. That was something I learned, but I don't regret getting into it because I still like had really great memories that I hold fondly to this day. And like, I was in love and it was the first time I truly felt in love with someone and I knew that they felt the same for me. So net, it was still a very positive experience despite that. And I mean, of course, I don't know Ryan's ex, but like the fact that they're still friends to this day, like I'm sure there was something beneficial for her too, even if it didn't end in like, the outcome that maybe was desired. We'll have to talk to her and get the full scoop. But with this quickie, what I'm taking away is that loving someone is very different than having the capacity to be in a relationship with them. Even if they really want to put in the work, sometimes they aren't capable of it. It's not a reflection of you. It's not always if they wanted to, they would. So if you find yourself on the receiving end of this, like give yourself grace. Of course, learn from the experience. Don't keep going back to someone who won't give you what you want. or date someone that's, the same person in a different body, but recognize that like sometimes it is out of your control how someone else processes their emotions and fears and everything else that comes up with a relationship. And while you can try to choose better each time, like know that you're choosing best if you're ultimately choosing what's best for you, because that's all you have control of at the end of the day. And while these situations hurt like hell, like knowing that you gave the relationship your all, even if they couldn't, you will eventually find that person, because this is practice for that. It's practice for the big leagues. And you'll find that person that also wants to give 110% with you. So hopefully addressing this fear helped others. It helped me to air it out. Fears are natural and we don't need to suppress them. And sometimes confronting them head on is actually the best way to push through. So hope everyone has a great weekend and enjoy this food for thought. Bye.